What's going on, everyone? I'm Magically Average. That over there is Frankfurter. This here is BakaBites. And today we're talking about some weird ass comments from the Crunchyroll CEO and what anime should be, I guess, question mark. And why CBR is a bad website. But I just brought that up because Frankfurter, I know, is going to complain
I
about it.
just don't
Yeah.
like them. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
them at
I know,
all.
I know. So a recent article just came out from CBR and actually recently also from the original source, which is Nikkei, talking to the Crunchyroll CEO about anime, kind of the future, the past, the present, the future of the anime industry, and just kind of what his thoughts are. And we'll put the article up for everyone else to kind of follow along if you're watching on YouTube. But his comments were very weird. His comments were not what you really want to hear from the CEO of Crunchyroll, which was basically anime must remain inherently Japanese, which my first thought was, what the hell does that mean?
And my
Uh,
first thought was, why does CBR have webtoons as the thumbnail? That's
yeah.
incredibly fucking xenophobic.
It's everything about this article was like oddly nationalist towards Japan, which
It's so weird. I
well,
nothing about this is like
let's just
okay. Like there's so many lines crossed of just like what's going on.
yeah, let's just
That
get
yeah,
into this. Let's
you
we'll
you
just
get yeah.
we'll just get
Take us
into
off.
it and keep it going. And I apologize for all these weird ads everywhere because CBR's website is garbage. But yeah, so we believe this happened during Anime Expo. It wasn't explicitly stated in the Nikkei article nor the CBR article when the actual interview took place. But based on the timeline and when the articles came out, we assume it was probably like a month and a half ago that the interview took place. But one of the questions the CEO was asked was about the how to maximize the popularity of anime and just the anime industry's past, present, and future. To which the CEO responded that he welcomed any initiative that will lead to more anime fans and more works being released, which is great. That's what we want to hear, right? Like, this also came about with the mention of Japan's Cool Japan project, the Japanese government's project to try to bring
Which
up and
apparently CBR has also written off to say it's a failure despite the project ending in 2033, but we could just glance past that
I
fucking
wasn't
bullshit.
I wasn't gonna mention it, but yeah,
CBR,
in
what
the
the fuck?
CV,
They linked it to their fucking original article about the Cool Japan project, and nowhere in there is like, ah, yes, it's a failure. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We still have nearly a decade until this project is over, and you're just gonna write it. Besides the
yeah,
point, I'm gonna ramble on. Continue.
yeah. As you can see throughout this or first part of our conversation, we'll sprinkle in the CBR hate. But yeah, they were mentioning the Cool Japan project and just the initiatives to bolster the media and entertainment industry within Japan alongside fashion and agriculture. And the CEO was saying that they've previously outlined the success of adapting works that weren't Japanese in origin, but added that he believes that the anime must be inherently Japanese and told from the perspective of Japanese creators. Continuing on with the quote, we want more anime, more diverse stories, and it's important that Japanese creators continue to be involved with them. This was super puzzling when I read it, and I wish there was more context behind it because I don't want to label the CEO as jaded or like completely like xenophobic nationalist. Well, like however you want to label him, because the comments come off like that. And I know people will say the CEO is not Japanese, which fair enough. The CEO and COO likely are not Japanese born citizens given their birth names. I don't believe, based on their backgrounds either, that they are of Japanese descent. But regardless,
No, I'm looking at a photo of both of them, and they are inherently not Japanese.
yeah. Regardless, though, representing Crunchyroll, which is obviously the biggest anime streaming service, and having a global footprint as being the premier Japanese-led streaming service or anime-led streaming service for the world too. It's understandable why he would make comments like this. That's all the benefit of the doubt I'm going to give him. On the face, this looks really bad. Like it's such a strange stance to say that anime must be quote inherently Japanese and told from the perspective of Japanese creators. Now, we were originally talking before starting the recording, like, what it means to be an anime. And like, if you look up the definition of like, what's an anime, every single site and every single dictionary will say that uh, anime is a style of animation originating in Japan, or a Japanese animation style. It doesn't say media form. It doesn't say like, specifically like TV or movie. It just says an animation style that originates in Japan. Now, we assign a more strict definition to it, meaning that it is entertainment and media that has animation that is created and distributed in Japan. So that includes like TV shows and movies and things like that. We think that's a
Right.
more probably fitting definition for it. But to say that all anime should be inherently Japanese is like throwing shit in the face of all these creators that choose and elect to show things that aren't really Japanese at the heart. Like, and
Yeah.
being told from the perspective of Japanese creators. Like, the beauty of a lot of anime is that we get very diverse, very unique, very creative storytelling that doesn't feel like it's from a Japanese perspective, or like it's about Japan, or that it's inherently Japanese. Like, there's plenty of anime out there that is kind of almost far removed from being anywhere close to what people would label as like I guess, traditionally Japanese anime. And that's a nice
Yeah.
thing. Like, it's kind of what you want in today's day and age too.
Yeah, you definitely want diversity and inclusion and all that in your media, and I know that it's just like something that it's just I don't necessarily like. I want it to become a norm that I don't have to think about it like who I'm watching on the screen. It is funny to see an American in anime in general, just for the fact that they're American.
Yeah.
That to me is always funny. But I think that yeah, let's kind of break this down a little bit piece by piece. Like the to go back to inherently anime and what is an anime, and that is the fact that some people will just say anything made by a Japanese studio, which is how I think of it as what an anime is, rather than a distinct art style. I know that that's what a lot of other people think about it, which is fine. You can have your opinion on what you think, and I'll have mine, and that's great. I think that inherently Japanese, I think there has to be a blend between both. Like it has to be primarily done by a Japanese studio and also has to have somewhat of the similar art style. Now, I do think there are it's a gray area. I think there are some exceptions to the rules. Like Scott Pilgrim, in my opinion, is still technically an anime, for the fact that it was done by Science Seru. It was made by a Japanese animation studio. But then you have examples where people are like, well, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's based off of like it has the art style of an anime, but it's made by a Western studio. And even that, I would give it the anime pass. I was like, yeah, it is inherently anime for the fact that it has that style, but it doesn't have, or it was made in a Western studio. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you can't have one, or like you can't just have one. You can't define it based off of one, even though I just said that I base it off of one. It has to be a mixture of both. Like
Yeah.
I think in today's day and age, like an American can make an anime and a Japanese person can make Western television. Like again, Science Seru did a phenomenal job with Scott Pilgrim, and Nickelodeon Studios did a wonderful job with Avatar: The Last Airbender and Korra.
Yeah.
But like, I think that to say that inherently Japanese, like, it's it's weird because when you hear that, you think, okay, is it the studio? Is it the art style? And then he goes on to say, told from the perspective of like just a story inherently told by the perspective of Japanese creators. And I'm like, but if you have a source material behind it, then it's not Japanese. How is that?
Yeah.
Like, how is that fitting into your definition?
So that's
Because
what I
again,
was.
CBR has fucking webtoons out the wazoo as the thumbnail for this, and it's like
Yeah.
none of that is Japanese whatsoever.
Well, that's what I was going to get into next, and this is where my confusion reached like a different level. It went from like being confused to being like utterly perplexed, almost like the CEO tried to backtrack over what he had previously said, but still didn't correct, just kind of doubled down on the error.
Yeah.
But when asked about, other IP and how they choose IP, the CEO stated that stories worthy of being adapted into animation can come from anywhere, including Korean webtoons and games. And so I was like, okay, well, all right, great. So it is the admittance of it doesn't have to originate in Japan. Like the source material, the actual idea itself doesn't have to be from someone in Japan, so like a Japanese person, right?
Right.
Which in my mind would translate to it doesn't have to come from a Japanese perspective, right? Because like someone who is Korean, someone who is Taiwanese, someone who is American, even
Yep.
like that, if it's originating from them, they likely have the perspective or more closely tied perspective to their nationality. And so, like, this was a great beginning to the quote. However,
And then it just fucking let's sprint
yeah,
downhill again.
and CBRE points out solo leveling being like one of this past year or this year's, big
Yeah. Well-known examples.
of a webtoon, reaching kind of the heights of a lot of their other mainstream series that are, Japanese originated. However, the CEO goes on though to say that, quote, Crunchyroll is always on the lookout for new trends and signs of hits. For example, we may introduce Indian IP to Japanese creators and suggest that if they turn this IP into an anime and tell a story, it might resonate with audiences in the region. End quote. He went on to say that the article goes on to say that while manga is typically the medium for which anime is born, quote, there will be more experimental attempts, and we are actively discussing this with our collaborators, end quote. I'm guessing that means more originals.
I think that just means like just IP from other sources because the little paragraph just talks about Terminator Zero, Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim. I'm gonna mispronounce it, and I'm gonna get fucked by the
Rohirrim.
Lord of the Rings fans. Yeah.
And Rick and Morty,
the anime, which was. Anyways, we don't need to.
It's weird that they didn't bring up. It's really weird, especially given that it's CBRE or CBR. That I just for some reason wanted to add more letters to it. It's weird that they didn't bring up a massive one, which actually was a really big hit, which was the Star Wars anime series that came out.
Star Wars?
Yeah, there was a Star Wars.
When did this happen? Oh, you're talking about Star Wars Visions, where each individual studio made like a
but there was two episodes from one anime studio, I believe.
Maybe
I think there was two. But that's a big one too. I mean, and that is kind of a great sign too for like a collaborative effort, right? Like all these different studios coming together to make this single season of Star Wars Visions, but they all have different unique storylines and animation styles, and they're all coming from different perspectives too.
Science like really cool.
Yeah, science. There we go. So I mean, that's like a really great example of an existing IP, not Japanese, being reimagined from the perspectives of different, many different people. Pretty sure there was a French studio. There was obviously Science Sarah that did 2 episodes. There was English studios. Like there were studios all over the world that were doing different episodes, and that's why each episode was super unique. Not even just from the animation styles, but the storytelling, the just pacing and everything like that. All the characters, how they're presented, just it felt really unique and interesting. And it's like, well, that's really cool what you can do with an existing IP. Then you
And
have Suicide Squad now,
yeah, I was
right?
gonna say even this Isekai Suicide Squad show, which is
Yeah.
happening now, and I have yet to watch it, but I've hear really good things about it. And it's just again, it's another reimagining through somebody else's lens.
Yeah. You have the stinkers like Rick and Morty, but you know,
Yeah.
there's certainly a lot of upside. The fact though that the CEO says that, and again, direct quote, that they want to turn the IP, referencing the Indian IP from before, into an anime and tell a story it might resonate with audiences in the region is just leaves such a bad taste in your mouth that like they basically just want to like Japanify everything
Yeah.
just so that it's digestible to Japanese audiences. Which it's such a strange take because like
Then you're basically just saying whatever art style or whatever cartoons that, India has, it's just not digestible to anybody
yeah,
other than
exactly.
people of that nationality.
Right. And that's why I wanted to talk about this a little bit further. And we'll get away from the CBR articles, thank God.
Please
Um,
and thank you. By the way, I didn't say it at the top of the thing. We
oh
should
no.
be giving a bit more credit to where credit is due. Not necessarily. Listen, I understand that there's always a name behind these articles. I'm not shitting directly on you, but I will say, whoever picked the thumbnail for this fucking article that you wrote, you need to have a talk with them. And if it was you, wrong thumbnail. Just
Yeah.
put the Crunchyroll logo on there. But the article was written by Chike Noane. I think I probably butchered that. I'm very sorry. We should be saying more often who wrote them, and we will definitely include the link in
Yeah.
the description just so that we're sourcing, showing
And
our source.
Renee Zenzatimor wrote the article on the Cool Japan project. So thank you both, but let's
Hiromi Sato was the. Oh, but
and
Hiromi
Nikkei.
Sato did Nikkei.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you all for
But
your
anyways,
contributions. But
sorry to
CBR.
cut you off there. It's just if we're gonna get away from
No, no,
CBR,
no. It's
thank
good.
God.
It's good. We should thank people where it's due, and we should also teach them a lesson by saying, "Be better."
Just
And
constructive criticism, but like at the same time, I just as a whole, I'm not a huge fan of CBR. Their opinion pieces, anytime I've read any of them, have just been awful for the fact that they said what was the worst episode of Cowboy Bebop, and somebody had the gall to say Mushroom Samba, and I wanted to throw my computer out the fucking window. Are you kidding me? I will never forgive you. Anyways, continue.
you do realize that a lot of people find Mushroom
Mushroom
Samba
Samba
to
is
be
fucking
disturbing.
delightful.
I know.
It
I
is a
like it.
great
I love
episode.
it.
No, it's the worst episode by far. Sorry, side tangent. Worst episode of Cowboy Bebop by far is the fucking goo episode where they have the random goo monster from the fridge that went bad because of
No, that's a
King
great
Lobster.
episode. I love
No,
that
that episode was
episode.
awful. That is the worst
You're
episode.
wrong. You're sounding more like CBR. um,
Anyways,
but yeah, I wanted to go over that article, but then have the second part of our conversation just be kind of a broad topic overlook of existing creations today that many people would just be like, that's an anime, they're inherently not, right? By our definitions, even by the definitions online, like they wouldn't really be considered anime, right? The one that you brought up, Avatar, is probably the closest to being an anime, but not really because it's again produced by a Western studio. There's no, by my knowledge, there's no IP that would have originated in Japan for Avatar to begin with. I think it's all Western based. Um,
yeah, I'm pretty
ob-
sure it is.
yeah, obviously has references to like Asian cultures, but
Yeah.
not set in any like North America or anything, but still originated from the West. So like
Yes.
that's probably the closest, I guess, to being an anime. But there's plenty of new things that have been coming out that again, not anime by definition, but I would honestly classify as an anime. I think the
And I know you want to talk about it, so let's just talk about Blue-Eyed Samurai.
I that's probably the best non-anime anime to come out in recent years. That was it was beautiful. It was
It's still on my to watch list. I still need to watch it.
boy, that it's incredible. Like not to mention the storytelling like alone would be a 10 out of 10, but the animation, the sound design, I think it's really the one for as long as it is, because I think each episode is close to 50 minutes. And I think there's 10 episodes too.
Uh,
So it's
there's 8 episodes, and they're about 45 minutes. I brought it up on my screen
oh,
because I was
okay.
like, how long are they? Yeah, they're about 45 minutes each, minus the first one being a full hour.
Yeah. Okay. So I was close, around 50, but okay, but there's 8 episodes. It is each episode is so well contained in itself. To have it be such a fluid story is remarkable. Like cuz like each episode is its own like singular story, like it just encased in itself,
Right.
but it flows so well with the larger tale that's being woven that you forget like just how interconnected it all is. It's it's wonderful. It's not an anime.
Nope.
It's
I'm
not an anime.
surprised. Like, I know you wanted to talk about that one, but there's another show that I'm surprised you didn't bring up, like, first, because I know for a fact you absolutely love it.
Oh, Arcane?
No. And I
Oh.
love that one too. It's another Netflix show.
Oh
You
no.
want to take a stab? Because if you forget this, I'm going to hold this over your head.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. So you said Netflix. My brain went Bluey.
No, not Bluey. That's also on Disney Plus.
I know it's on Disney Plus. I love Bluey.
It's being Puppy Cat.
Oh yeah. Well, no, because I have already differentiated that. I kind of cheesed it myself because they used to be a part of, I say they, referencing like Bravest Warriors and a couple other shows, a part of like this. It was a offshoot of the Federator Group, I think, which was like one of the big studios that produced a lot of the Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network shows. They kind of made their own independent cartoon like studio, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's where like Bee and Puppy Cat, Bravest Warriors, shoot, I know I'm forgetting like one other big one. But they all kind of were.
Adventure Time. So I'm looking at the
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously,
Federator Studios, and yeah, they Fairly
yeah,
Odd Parents, Chalk Zone, Life as a Teenage Robot, Random Cartoons, Fanboy and Chum Chum, Adventure Time, Bravest Warriors, Two Cool Cartoons, Castlevania, and Bee and Puppy Cat. Castlevania would also be another one that's interestingly like this is an anime, but no, it's not.
yeah. Um,
If we're going by stupid definitions.
but Bee and Puppy Cat, I watched like years and years ago. And then when it got like a retelling and like an expanded story, I was like, oh, that's great. So I guess I don't know. My brain's already like already differentiated that because I would have grouped like because I was thinking back like as a kid like which shows would I have considered to be more in line with an anime versus like a traditional Western show, right? Because like as a kid growing up, I was watching all of your standard ones like SpongeBob. If you're old enough to remember these, there's Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, Laszlo. No, not Laszlo. What the fuck was it called? Rocco's Modern Life. That was a great one.
Oh,
Laszlo's
Laszlo's
Camp Laszlo. Camp Laszlo was actually good. I like that one too. The House of Imaginary Friends, like a bunch of like random ones, right? Like all obviously categorized as like Western ones. The two that come to mind as being like the furthest from that I would draw more towards being anime like would be Teen Titans, because I think even though it was superhero, even though it's DC, I know they're all like Western IP. I get it. the way that it was captured was more in line with what I had like pictured to be like adult type anime,
Yeah.
right? Like a shonen style anime, I guess. Which I say adult type anime, and people are like, "That's more seinen." Like, shut up. More shonen type, I would say. And the other, I think it's just because of the setting and perspective, would be Samurai Jack.
Okay.
But like that one's also a cheese because I know the studio that did Samurai Jack also did oh, I had it. I was thinking about it earlier and I had it and now I lost it. Grr. Uh
No,
like
that's Invader Zim.
that's Invader Zim. Also a great show. Like those would be the two that as a kid growing up, I'd be like, oh man, those are probably like the closest anime, not anime type shows there are.
You're missing one big one, but that's for the fact that it was an adult type show rather than a kid show. It's essentially it is an anime, but it's not. You want to take a guess? It was on Adult Swim.
It was on Adult Swim.
It was on Adult Swim.
My brain's only going to like Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
God, I wish. Can you imagine an anime episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force and what that would look like?
I mean, they basically had like a portion of a season that was like anime, kind of.
Yeah.
What was the Bird Attorney? Fuck, I love that one too.
Oh God. Yeah. No. Fuck. Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yeah, it's a good one.
No,
too.
not that. No, it was the Boondocks.
I knew you were gonna say Boondock Saints because yes, like the animation style.
Boondock Saints. The Boondock Saints.
Yeah,
is
sorry,
a movie
sorry, not Boondock Saints. The Boondocks. Yeah, I knew you were gonna say the Boondocks just because the animation style is very akin to anime. Yeah,
it is essentially an anime, but again, it's not because people put these stupid fucking tags on it. But it's been going on for ages and ages. Like since I feel like the United States got Akira, like more and more people got fascinated with Japanese animation and like brought like kind of melded that style into Western audiences as well, but a little bit not necessarily unknowingly, but like kind of flew under the radar and we just accepted it. And it's just now it's this big debate. Oh, is it anime or is it not? It's like inherently, yes, the art style is there. Sure, you can call it an anime, but I'm not going to fault you if you don't because it is done by a Western studio.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, anime just means animation. Like take it however you want. So
yeah,
I don't know. There's a lot out there that just people argue about the dumbest things, and I think that this is one of them. Well,
and again, the reason why we're talking about this isn't so much as like the community is going back and forth like Arcane's not an anime. Yeah. Why do we care? Or like, duh, it's stupid that Terminator's getting an anime. It's not even Japanese. Like, like thankfully, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't been hearing any rumblings, and I've been avoiding, I guess, those areas that would be causing an uproar like this. But like, it's more just unnerving that the CEO of the world's largest anime streaming platform is going, anime should just be Japanese.
Yeah.
Regardless of where anything's originating from, where our source material is from, the anime itself should be inherently Japanese. Like that's just it's upsetting because like I was looking up on my phone and let me pull it up real quick. But like again, I'm gonna use Blue Eyed Samurai as the example because honestly, Blue Eyed Samurai is at this point kind of like the pinnacle of the most non-anime anime you could get.
Yeah.
Blue Eyed Samurai was written by Amber Noizumi and Michael Green. I'm gonna guess Michael is not Japanese.
What?
And I would be right. In fact, Michael is written and co-written several feature film screenplays, including Logan, Alien Covenant, Blade Runner 2049, and Murder on the Orient Express. So, very good stuff too, but not Japanese. And the studio that co-produced and animated it was a French studio called Blue Spirit. Okay. So like nothing about this is Japanese. In fact, if you go to Wikipedia and look it up, it says the country of origin is France and United States. Like,
I'm thinking, like, I'm still just trying to rack my brain of what is an anime style show that is just an American TV show. And do you really want to know where my brain led me to?
was it Bluey?
No, as
No.
much
Because
Why are you
I'd
trying to
be
make
I'd
a
be wrong. You'd be
Bluey
wrong
narrative
again because it's New Zealand or Australian. New
Oh,
Zealand?
God. Hold on.
Oh
no.
no. Well, no.
We
You keep
can't
talking.
fucking-
You keep talking.
piss
I'll look up
people off.
Bluey. No. I'll look up.
Oh,
Bluey.
I've already
No,
got it
no,
up.
no, no,
Got it
no.
up. It's Australian. It's Australian.
Okay, it's
Okay.
Australian. All right.
Sorry, New Zealand or Australians. We're not giving credit.
New
to
Zealand, you guys
have.
have Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, okay? You're fine. You're good for like bajillions of years, all right?
So my brain went, and please don't judge me for this. It went to
I will.
Totally Spies. You remember that show? Totally
Ooh.
Spies.
Well, I mean, you could talk about the Powerpuff Girls too, because Powerpuff Girls were like very anime based. All the villains were like very strange and a little racist. But Powerpuff Girls were.
I mean, most cartoons back in the day were a little racist. I mean, you got to look at Ed
Little
and Eddie
racist.
and just be like, oh boy, that's a walking red flag.
I love Ed and Eddie.
I do too. It's so fucking.
I
good.
wish
Jesus
more shows would like use weird audio clips of just like that sumo, like the like whenever they smash through doors and stuff. It's great. Yeah.
But yeah, my mind
Totally
went to Totally Spies, and I'm just like,
I don't
God,
know.
I haven't thought about
'cause-
this show in forever.
Well, then I guess would you consider like Kim Possible then? Because Kim Possible had more of an anime style like aesthetic to it than.
No, because that's more like akin to, I feel like, a Powerpuff Girls than it would be a Totally Spies.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like,
But those were more in line with like an anime
no
style.
I'm looking at photos of them, and I'm like, no, Kim Possible is definitely more Western than it is like an anime. While Totally Spies is like you've got the eyeballs for it. But like, I
Do
mean,
you? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I would look it up,
Spies
dude.
correctly?
It's Totally Spies. It was just one of those things. Just like,
yeah, like
shit.
magical, very much magical girl based.
It really is.
Yeah,
It's wild. I didn't even think of it until now. Like, I know they were kind of going for, I feel like, the Charlie's Angels type thing, probably.
Yeah.
But, like, it's definitely more akin to, like, I feel like maybe a Magical Girls, and this is weird to talk about now.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
but like we're
Not
talking.
weird in the sense of, like, we're talking about Magical Girls, but it's just like,
Hey, there's nothing
I'm
about magical
just
girls.
flipping my childhood up on its fucking head.
Well, but again, like many of the Western style shows, I shouldn't say many. There are a handful of Western shows that, reflecting back now, you can certainly see the like Japanese influence to them. Again, I will die on a hill for it at this point. Like Powerpuff Girls is very easy. Mad scientist is trying to make 3 innocent girls accidentally make superpower girls. They're just magical girls. They fight a monkey dude that has his brain exposed and an enemy named Satan.
His brain's in a helmet. It's not exposed.
It's basically exposed.
It's in a helmet. But
Half the time he gets defeated, his helmet gets cracked and you see his noggin. All right.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I'm pretty sure the other like bad person are they Satan? Are they like?
You mean him?
Oh, whatever. It's basically Satan.
No, that's the guy. That's the
No, I know.
the
I know
thing's
that. I know their name is
Yeah.
him, but they're basically Satan.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like that show is
It's like a
very much
lobster Satan.
yeah, lobster Satan. That show is very much like heavily influenced by Japanese anime, anime shows, I believe, especially magical girl ones. Like you can draw that comparison to a lot of things, like we were saying. But again, kind of coming back to our original point, though. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, I don't think it's fair to say that anime should be inherently Japanese, and I don't think it's fair to the creators either to restrict it, this whole entire medium, this entire like portion of the entertainment pie that it comes from Japan, to be like, no, anime should be inherently Japanese. Like, we should be telling stories from a Japanese perspective in our artistic style to appease and be like geared towards this region, like, Japanese people, right?
Yeah.
Because it's never felt that way to many viewers. I mean, like, speaking from a Western audience, like, we love anime for the stories. We don't like gravitate to them because we feel like a connection on a national level as Americans, right? I mean, I guess you could do that for certain anime, but it's very few and far between. Like, I'm drawn in for the stories. I'm drawn in for the characters, the art style, like a plethora of different things. Never once have I watched an anime and felt like, wow, this one speaks to me as a true American.
The only one that I've done that to is anytime I see Bandit Keith from Yu-Gi-Oh on screen.
Yeah, or Joey with his New York accent.
Hey,
Yugi!
What you do?
I play Black Eyes Red Dragon in attack mode.
Whoa, you got crazy enough hair for the both of them. Anyways,
I cheated, Joey. That's how I won. With I want to do a whole episode, by the way, where we just talk about all the times Yugi cheats in Yu-Gi-Oh, because it would be a full episode.
You'll have to bring Danny on.
Oh yeah,
too.
We'll for sure bring Danny.
But yeah, no. At the end of the day, I think just sticking something in one bucket and just saying like it has to be, this is the only definition for it, or this is the only way to classify something.
Yeah.
Is a bit stupid.
And it's just weird. It's like, do they think that people that love the Terminator series are gonna like despise the new Terminator because it's Japanese, like it's produced by a Japanese studio, like, or that like Japanese people will be more likely to go watch it because it's now an anime? It's like, no, it's just a really cool, interesting retelling, just like, the Suicide Squad isekai, just like the Lord of the Rings, just like Star Wars Visions. Like, there's not all of the anime that I love, like all of my top anime, right, have nothing to do with me being American or me living on the Western side of the world, right? Like, it all just has to do with my love for the medium and, what I gravitate towards when I look for a good anime. Like, again, like I said, storytelling, characters, whatever. Like, having an IP that's not Japanese in origination be then transformed into the perspective of someone who is Japanese just seems so off-putting. And to have that direction be told by the CEO of Crunchyroll is just really disturbing. I hope that, again, I don't want to give benefit of the doubt. I hope that there's some mistranslation or some miscommunication, or maybe they just didn't articulate it well, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they meant to say, we want our Japanese studios to produce more non-Japanese IP. That's great, right? And we're already seeing it. Again, as we just said, Terminator, Lord of the Rings, like, these are all existing IPs that are not Japanese. Like, that would be good. That's what we'd want to hear. Or like, we want more opportunities to develop new stories with our studios. That's also good to hear. We love originals. We love Licorice Recoil. We love Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. Like, we love the opportunity for studios to branch out and do non-IP or no source material type anime too, like all originals. That's great. But again, taking it as it is, reading it plain as day, the CEO being like, anime is Japanese, it should stay Japanese, we want to keep it Japanese, and anything that we're taking will become Japanese. Is just ugh.
Yeah. What was the site that it spawned from Crunchyroll? It used to be Crunchyroll, and then they had like a small off-site that had Crunchyroll, the horror channel, which I forget what it was. And then it had,
God.
Like, Dan Harmon's D&D campaign.
Are you talking about like Shudder? Is it Shudder?
Well, Shudder was on there, but it was...
Oh my God, I don't even know what you're talking. What a way to end this episode of
BRV. VRV.
Oh, Verve. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
talking about that, and then you have things like Verve.
Oh,
were Verve, and you had Harmon Quest. You had.
I'm an idiot. That's where all those the Bravest Warriors and Bee and Puppy Cat were. They were on Verve. That's where I watched them.
Oh.
They had like a I can't remember again the channel it was. It was like
The channels that they had were Boomerang, Cartoon Hangover, Crunchyroll,
Cartoon
Curiosity.
Hangover. Thank you. Cartoon Hangover was the one where like all these other creators from the main studios like Frederator and stuff had the spin-off and created Cartoon Hangover. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had things like Rooster Teeth on there, which
Yep.
they had Ruby.
Ruby.
Example.
Another example. That's an actual like clear one where it's like, yeah, they are trying to be an anime. And I think obviously, and then I think a Japanese studio did completely redo the series recently. I want to say. I think they did it like a recent I don't know, we'll say makeover basically of Ruby.
They just did another season back in 2013 and it ended in 2014. Oh, March 30th.
No, there was one very recent where they actually like did a full like redo of I think season 1 and a Japanese studio did it. I don't think it was 10 years ago. Oh my god.
No, I'm saying that they had the latest season come out.
Oh yeah, Ruby came out a while. Like the ending of it came out a while ago. But again,
according to this, season 9 ended March 30th, 2024.
Oh well, never mind.
So,
but regardless, like it's a very strange take. It's a very strange approach, and it doesn't feel like it matches with where anime is going today, especially given that it does have a wider global footprint that it did even 5 years ago, right? Like pre-COVID, you know? Like it's just it's very weird for them to not come from the approach of we want it to become more diverse. We want it to become more inclusive of other cultures, of other ethnicities, of other creators, right? We want more we want more levels of creativity, and from what spawns from that is different perspectives from around the world, and we want to see that in anime. Only for the CEO to be like, Japan, #1, baby. We're at the top, #1, best in the biz. It's gonna stay #1, staying here, Japan. Let's go. Like, I don't know. It's just very odd. Very odd.
And if you've stuck around this long, thank you so much.
You're very odd.
Well.
Yeah.
You are very odd as well.
You're very odd.
We've rambled a very long time on this episode. Yeah. More than I thought we would.
Yeah.
But thank you all for joining us this week. We greatly appreciate it. We won't be back next week with a brand new episode. We will both be out of town.
Yeah. It's also a holiday when we record too, so
I didn't think about that until I just started spouting out the outro.
I was like, you had me from the very beginning. You're like, you lead this episode, and I'm like, I got this, bud. And I'm like, just about to segue after I say my odd, and you pop in. I'm like, all right, he's got it, and then you fumble it at the 1 yard line. You just have it, bust it up.
I'll just.
You sure you're just gonna sit there?
I'll just sit here muted, being a bee and puppy cat.
Yeah, just sit there and be all gloomy. But you know who's not gloomy? You. All you lovely people who listened and watched, people. I'm getting tired too. Pee-poo. All you amazing, lovely oddballs out there who listen and to watch this episode, thank you so much as always. If you want to stay connected with us, there are a plethora of ways to do so. Old school, you can email us at bakagopodcast@gmail.com. Any of your ideas for upcoming episodes, or if you just want to reach out and say hi to us, you can do it that way. We also have all of our socials on our link tree. You can find over on our Twitter or X page. I still refuse to actually call it X alone. I always have to say Twitter too because I'm annoyed by it. But you can find our socials where we post most of the time daily, on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram. You can also connect with us on our Discord page where you can yell at us there in our many channels, post all of your funny memes, and get your suggestions for what other topics we should be talking about, or find a new and exciting anime and manga that you might not have heard of as well. But until next time,
nod, nod.
What was that?
Hint, hint, wink, wink, nod.
Yeah,
nod.
hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod. But until next time, take care, everyone, and we'll see you then.